Morning, Alan. How are you?
Yeah, morning, Gordon. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Thanks so much for spending the time. Just a very brief introduction. This is Alan Bradshaw, who's founder of the Theatre Coach and also the Young Professionals UK, which we'll come on to in a minute. First of all, we're delighted to be working with you and delighted to be able to introduce you to our members and parents and schools, because I think what you do is fascinating. And I just want to sort of ask you a couple of questions to maybe explain a little bit more about what you do, how you got into it, your experiences, and all that sort of stuff.
Of course, my pleasure.
So maybe start with, I've looked at the website, which is fascinating, and maybe start with giving us a brief overview of the Theatre Coach as a business.
Okay, the Theatre Coach as a business, I offer private coaching. I offer a course called the Tidy Mind Acting course. And essentially, I nurture and mentor young aspiring performers.
Right.
Online or in person. We've got some London things coming up as part of my club to get them to where they want to be and where I was and where I wanted to be at their age, and to help them and their families do that.
Right. Okay. And where did it all start? Where did your love of all things kind of performance kick off? And what sort of challenges, I guess, did you face as a youngster?
That's a good one. I vividly remember watching a production at Fort Regent in Jersey, and that's when I first turned to my mum and said, I want to do that when I grow up. And I was 7 at the time, and some girls in my class went to a local dance school, so I joined that local dance school. So a little bit of a Billy Elliot story. I was the only boy there. I was from a little village called Bottisford in now North Lincolnshire. There was no access to professional training, nothing online. There was no online at that point. So it was difficult. It was difficult, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. I kept in with those classes, focused on drama at school, and put the year's worth of work in, really. Managed to find my way through to Guildford School of Acting when I was 18. And that was a huge leap from a little village down to a prestigious acting school. So I'm
going to say that's quite a transition from, as you say, where you were brought up into sort of kind of the professional training and all that. That's an interesting journey.
Yeah, and it wasn't an easy one. And that has really fueled what I'm doing now, because I'd never met a professional, and I rocked up on my first day at Guildford School of Acting, and I was surrounded by some people had already done things. They'd had TV credits, they'd been child actors on the West End, but so few people get that experience. And so I felt like I started on the back foot, and I'm determined to not have any young people kind of go through that same struggle, because as well as all the hard graft that we put in, we love what we do. It's hard work, but we love it. It's doing it all from the back foot is not easy. It was not easy.
Yeah, and that's you're going to have plenty of, not saying you look old, but you have plenty of experience under the bonnet, and actually so
decades.
So good to be able to pass that on. How did you start getting involved with kind of young performers?
Oh, I was so lucky. I was asked in my 3rd year of training to go and do some work at the Sylvia Young Theatre School. And so I started teaching there before I even finished my own professional training. And then my career from that moment on was a pretty equal balance of performing in West End or tours. I did some filming for Warner Brothers at the end of last year, feature film out Christmas 2023. So that was kind of an abridged version of my performing career, but that was equally balanced with teaching at places like Sylvia Young's, Italia Conti's, Arts Ed, back at Guildford School of Acting, and also creating as a choreographer and director. So they all collided. The industry saw that I'd worked with young people at Sylvia Young's. They saw that I performed and that I created, and that led on to me looking after the young performers in Billy Elliot in the West End, which was such a privileged role. And that's when I really stepped up my responsibility and went, hang on a minute, we are asking all these young performers to be at this certain level, but are we training them? Are they ready? And that's where I wanted to step in and get as many people ready as possible.
Which I'm guessing is where Young Professionals UK was born.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that, because that's fascinating. Who's it for and how does it work?
So it started for people, for young professionals who had been in West End shows, who had drilled just for that show, but didn't know how to do anything else. You know, they were just taught those steps, that show. So I wanted to broaden their training and give them opportunities, get them industry ready for all auditions and for a long-term career. But then a few years down the line with the Young Professionals UK, all of the young people I worked with on those shows grew up, went on to professional training or different careers in some cases. And I went, hang on a minute, there are thousands of young people wanting to do this. And that's when I set up they were big Billy reunions, became the Young Professionals UK for any young performer who wants to be the best performer they can be or wants a career in the industry.
Okay, and how does that differ from kind of weekly training or whatever, or what do young performers get out of the club?
So here's the thing. The YP UK used to offer holiday courses where I'd expose these young people to the highest level of training and industry professionals, the decision makers, casting directors, the people who would get them in the rooms for auditions. But then in between those holiday courses, I was inundated with questions from parents about agents, about the industry, about spotlight profiles, about the business, not about how to perform, but the business. And that's when I set up the YP UK Club, which is a year-round source for parents and young performers who are training locally, most of them. So they're getting taught how to act, how to sing, and how to dance. But the YP UK Club is there to teach them how to be a performer, how to get a career, how to get into the industry, how to stay in the industry, because the dropout rate is huge, even for trained adults, you know. So I want to give young people the best chance. They invest so much, and so do families, Gordon. I remember my parents sacrificed so much so that I could go to local schools and clubs, and I want to make sure that all of that sacrifice, all of that work, passion and investment is given the best foundation and the best shot.
Brilliant, because so often that's missing. I mean, people pile into jobs of any description, and knowing how to handle your life, if you like, is super important.
Yeah.
How do they? I mean, this is a busy world, right? How do they fit, YP UK into their kind of already busy lives?
It is, and I appreciate that. And I've got a 13-year-old son myself, which has really given me a brilliant perspective. And he is very passionate about performing. It's given me a brilliant perspective. So everything we do, all of the masterclasses and the touch points are recorded. And for as long as you're in the club, you get access to everything within the time of your membership. So you can go back on things. If you miss things, you can catch up. The regular touch points are, so if any questions come up, there's a whole year's worth of touch points scheduled. So parents always know, and young performers, when they can get their questions answered, and you can't miss it because it's recorded. It will be there for you when it's convenient for you. And I just kind of want to add that actually it is an impenetrable,
very good, long word,
industry.
Yeah.
It really can feel like that. And so I've worked on a couple of West End shows with young performers, Billy Elliot and School of Rock. And, you know, I know that the parents sometimes feel like they're left on the outside because, you know, we've got a job to do, and they're fully chaperoned. It's all supported, but they don't always get those answers. They're trapped. They can feel trapped on the inside. I know a lot of them have done, with all the best will in the world. And so I want them to know that they can access, I've worked with I've helped hundreds of young professionals get into the West End, get into tours, get into theatre, and to get onto screen. And I want them to know where they can find me and when they can find me at a time that's convenient for them across a year's worth of membership. So
that's brilliant. And we work with, as you know, we work with day schools, boarding schools, all sorts of different schools in the independent sector. If you're a boarding school pupil, how can you get involved? Is that straightforward?
It's just a case of watching those catch-ups and watching those recordings and knowing that I am myself and my wonderful assistant Tamara at the other end of an email at all times. So boarding, when your weekend's off, you can catch up in the holidays. You can make it work for you.
Brilliant. Okay. And one last question. What would be your advice for surviving in your industry? It's a tough industry. We all know that. What's if you could give one bit of advice to a youngster, what would you give?
It's that you cannot over prepare, and you must be authentic and individual. You must present you, not a version of you that's part of a class or a school. It's you. It's about you, your unique skill set, what you can bring to it. And then be prepared to keep moving. It's an ever evolving, ever changing, wonderful industry. So be prepared for everything, be prepared to change, and show yourself bravely.
Brilliant. And be strong. I mean, I've got a great friend of my son's who's an actor, aspiring actor, and the no rate, the declinatures, the pushbacks, it's really tough.
You need grit. You need grit, and you need resilience, and you need consistency, which is the same for any business, isn't it? You've got to keep going until that happens for you. Some people it happens for overnight. That is so rare. But some people it takes those couple of years to hit that sweet spot, find that launch pad. But that doesn't matter. It's out there for everybody. I've seen it, and I truly believe that. Another huge thing for the club is that actually West End jobs are difficult for 14 to 16-year-olds. There's a couple of years there that we know are going to be tricky. And so I want to keep the momentum going for these young people, keep empowering them and inspiring them. So when they come out of the other end of those wilderness years, I wish I could call them something different, but I want to be honest with everybody in the club, with all the young people I work with. I want to be honest. I can help them keep working on their craft through those 2 years. It's important that they do, that wherever they do that, they keep working on their craft and can hit the ground running when things change.
Well, I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's a fascinating business that you're in. I think it's so important for youngsters and also their parents to know that someone like you is around who can help. Where's the best place for them to go to find information? Your website, right? Give us the website address.
Website is thetheatrecoach.com.
Okay, perfect. So they go there, they'll get all the information on young professionals and all that.
Absolutely. And my Instagram account, again, at The Theatre Coach. It's all on there. There are links in that bio. There's you'll see in my feed and in my stories, I'm always in there reaching out, telling people what we do.
Fantastic. Well, Alan, look, thanks so much for your time. It's been great to chat to you. And we're delighted to work with you. And I know that our schools and children and all the parents will have a very good look at what you do. I think it's fascinating.
I hope so. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Say goodbye and have a great day.
All right. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.